Okay, it's 12:30. I might get started. I'm just going to turn off my music. I'll just have to be admitting people as I go. If they join, a lot of people wait for the recorded session these days because we're all just a little bit busy. I'm just going to see. Okay, I am recording. Forgive me, not brilliant at technical support. Okay, give it a couple more minutes, but I think I'm just going to get started because it's lunchtime and I know that you probably want me to speak quickly and get out of here. If you're ready to go, want to grab a cup of tea, a cup of water, anything, grab your lunch, do it now. Otherwise, we're going to get started. This is a recorded session, so if you do need to go, please put your questions or comments in the chat and I'll get to them at the end, and then you'll receive a copy of the recorded session afterwards when I upload it. So if you miss anything, it'll be up there. For those who don't know me, my name is Pip Reed. I am a clinical functional nutritionist. I live in New South Wales, Australia, practice worldwide, and my specialty is working with women going through the perimenopause and menopausal changes. It's not my exclusive, I guess, specialty. I also work with women of all ages, including teenagers, starting puberty, fertility issues, polycystic ovaries, endometriosis. So really anything that comes under that hormone imbalance area, I have specialized in for around 15 years plus now. So today is very much about the perimenopause and menopausal changes. And I hope you come out feeling empowered, I guess. I know this is a big topic at the moment. Everyone's talking about it, which is fantastic. I think there's a lot of misunderstandings still that are coming out, but we're all practitioners navigating it as well and working out which symptoms are correlating, how we can best treat them. My philosophy has always been holistic healthcare, which means I treat the body as an entirety. So I'm not just looking at hormones. I'm never just treating the hormone symptoms. I'm looking at your body as a whole and bringing anything that might be in dysfunction back into alignment. So for me, when I look at perimenopause and menopause, these are more symptoms of something else going on in the body. So we're going to go through this today, talk about how I navigate my clients' perimenopause and menopausal symptoms, and hopefully you can come out with a bit of clarity around it. Obviously, if you'd like to work with me, if you'd like any more information, I'm always available for that too, and I'll put some links in. But if you have any questions along the way, put them in the chat and I will hopefully get to them. I definitely will get to them at some stage. Okay, I'm going to get started. As I said, excuse me if I have to bring people in. I think there were about 115 women that signed up for this on last count. That's generally worldwide, so I know half of them are probably asleep. So if you couldn't make it, like I said, welcome. You're able to watch the replay and this will be up for at least 7 days available to rewatch. Okay, I'm at this stage of my life, being 43, where I can't decide if I need my glasses or not all the time. If anyone experienced that, it's like that feels nice, but then I kind of get over them as well. It's funny, around this age, and age about 44, we notice our eyes change a lot. And I've never really had, I've always had minor issues, but now I feel like, oh, I might have to wear them a bit more. Does feel better today, so I'm going to stick with them. Okay. All right, let's get started. So today we're going to discover your own hormone and vitality blueprint. So as a holistic practitioner, I'm also very, very focused on creating plans specific and bespoke to my clients' needs. So no cookie cutter approach, because we all have different things going on. We might experience the same symptoms. We might have the same goals, but the way your body functions is very different from Kate over in the corner. So with today, a lot of the advice I provide might be generalized, but realistically, the best way to get the best results for you is with a bespoke tailored plan, which is what I specialize in. So a little bit of housekeeping. Let's be kind and courteous. Don't hack my screen. I've had someone do that before. And Q&A at the end, unless it's very relevant to what I'm discussing right now, then I'll try and bring that in. Okay, so a little bit disclaimer. It's not intended to diagnose or treat any health concerns or conditions. So please seek advice from your trusted health professional or come to me if you do need any treatments, diagnoses, anything like that. So who is this session for? This is for those who are ready to feel like themselves again, those who are ready to regain their confidence and vitality, to renew, rejuvenate, and transform, and to find out what their hormones are really trying to tell them so that we can eliminate your symptoms. That's the standard, that's the goal, that's the big, the driving factor by why so many of my girls come to see me. It's more than just a few symptoms here and there. It's usually more of a complete body transformation to bring everything back into function. And who is this not for? So this is not for men, unless you're here for a loved one. It's not for those unwilling to make changes, because obviously we have to make a change if we want to see a change. And those who are content feeling tired, irritable, uncomfortable, or just not yourselves, because I am going to transform your life. That's the plan. So today I'm going to show you what's happening in your body and what symptoms to look out for. I'm going to teach you how to navigate through it and why you need tailored advice, which you'll hear a lot during this. And I'm here to provide you support, advice, and encouragement, because you're not in this alone. A few years ago, when I started doing these masterclasses, I would definitely say this was still an undiscussed or very little discussed topic. I think because we're talking about it so much, we do feel there's more support out there. But if you're still feeling unsure, not like you have a plan in place, if you need some support, I want you to know that there's so much you can do and there's so many avenues out there that are supportive. So why me? So my name is Pip Reed. I've been a clinical functional nutritionist, meaning I look at the holistic body. I take into account the entire body for around 15 years. I have worked with some of the best brands in the business. I love the supplements I choose. I'm very dedicated to only working with the best of the best. I've been on many radio stations. I've been written articles for many magazines. I've done a lot of work worldwide, and I never work with companies where I get paid essentially to endorse them. It's all very natural. I'm very ethical. I really just want to get my clients the best results, and that's my focus. So for me, it was an easy choice to specialize in women's health. I had my own issues, which I'll go through. But back in the day when I became a nutritionist, so as I said, nearly 15 years ago, no one was really focusing on us. And we are complicated. We have more hormones that fluctuate so frequently. In fact, I read something the other day where if a man's hormones fluctuated the way a woman's do in a single 2 days, how our estrogen declines, if they had the same effect with their testosterone declining, they would actually age 125 years over a weekend. Whereas we go through that every month, weekly, week in, week out. So we're incredible. It always made sense to me to specialize in women's health because being a woman myself, I'm obviously going to go through probably just as much as you are, if not more, with my own hormonal background and issues. So I wanted to specialize in this area and allow women to have someone to talk to that knows the ins and outs, but also is a woman, so can completely relate to this area. So the story behind my smile. So I grew up with excruciating period pain, heavy bleeding and flooding, PMS, anxiety, depression. I suffered from bloating. I suffered from issues of IBS. Chronic constipation. I'd break out of my skin, especially around my period. So I never had an issue when I was younger. And then as soon as my cycles kicked in, I'd get these monthly breakouts on my chin. Rosacea kicked in, iron deficiencies, chronic iron deficiencies. So every month having issues, fatigue and insomnia, a lot from these iron deficiencies, irregular cycles, breast pain, spotting, name it, I've had it. And I say this because I want you to recognize that we're all on our own journey, and we've all been dealt a genetic hand or an endocrine disruptive hand, whatever it is we've been dealt. I've probably been through it. And the reason I believe I do what I do is because I have been through it, and I've been able to give myself the best gift of health, fertility, and I like to be able to pass that on to my clients. So there's always a reason for why, we end up where we end up. And I believe that's mine, of why I had this horrific experience as a teenager, put on the pill in my 20s, came off the pill in my early 30s to have babies, and my body completely fell apart because it was actually masking what was turned out to be endometriosis. So I had to navigate infertility. So a year-long journey for me spent trying to get my period cycles back, healing my gut issues, healing what I think was mold exposure as well, which is a huge contributor to how our hormones react. And we're seeing that a lot more, especially any of my Sydney girls. It's a very moldy environment. Most houses have it in there. And surrounded by endocrine disrupting chemicals, whether it's from medications or plastics or food, pesticides, all of these things that contribute to our hormones and our hormone health. So I had a really horrific time, like couldn't go to work, in excruciating pain, would end up in hospital vomiting because the pain was so bad with my endometriosis. So after a year of healing, and I mean extensive healing, a lot of gut work, I did acupuncture, I hormone balanced, I detoxed, I made sure that my hormone harmony was actually metabolizing in my system. I was able to go on and have 2 healthy children and have not looked back since. So from that person, I've gone to regular cycles, a decade of pain-free periods. I have not had a painful period since those before, my early 30s. I don't notice my periods coming. I have a flat stomach, so no bloating all day, clear, happy skin always. If I get a blemish, it's like, oh God, what am I going to do with that? Endless energy, regular, restful, restorative sleep, and stable moods for the most part. We're not perfect. I'm not perfect. And as we enter this next stage of our perimenopausal life, things are going to start to change. And I'm very well aware of that. I've already noticed some changes on my behalf. And it's going to be a time that we need to just be open to the fact things are changing, but knowing there's a lot we can do about it. So That's what I really want you to come away with today. Okay, so what is perimenopause? So perimenopause is literally so pre-menopause. Menopause being your menses pausing or your periods stopping. Now, menopause in itself, in the medical world, it is literally classified as that one day where you're in menopause, and it's 1 year after your last bleed. That year to that day, you're in menopause that day from your last period. The next day, you're postmenopausal. So there's a lot of chat around being menopausal, and really it's actually 1 day. What we're going to see more likely to be is those perimenopausal and even premenopausal symptoms that become quite erratic as we get closer to that 1 day of menopause. And then in postmenopause, we still can experience a lot of these signs and symptoms as well. So unfortunately, that 1 day of menopause doesn't mean it's over. It just is indicative that your period has ceased. So no more, like when we go into puberty and our periods start to come in, it's now going out. And we often get a lot of those same symptoms as when our period's coming in, is when it's also leaving us. So perimenopause can be a decade before you even have that 1 day of menopause, of symptoms and hormonal changes that lead to symptoms. What I often find in that perimenopausal stage, I'm going to show you a graph, a really basic graph, because every woman does change on how they actually go through perimenopause and what their hormone cycle looks like. But this is a really basic way to grasp what's going on. With what I'm seeing a lot of perimenopause and what I really focus on is anything that's in dysfunction may worsen during this time because of the chaos our bodies can go into with these hormonal changes, which are inevitable. This is definitely going to happen to you, but how we go through it and how extensive our symptoms are doesn't need to be set in stone. This is something that we can manage with diet, exercise, sleep, all of these things, good nutrition, nutrients. Of course, hormone replacement therapy is available. It has its limitations as well. But there's a lot that we can do. And once you have all of these things lined up, it can be a very cruisy experience. That's our goal. So what I want you to notice here, the first thing that seems to decline is that gold curve, and that's our progesterone. So our first signs of perimenopause are generally because our progesterone is declining. That's when we might start to see those symptoms around sleeplessness, so waking through the night, irritability before a period especially, so more PMS, premenstrual syndrome, shorter period cycles. So if the progesterone's dropping too quickly, then we tend to get a bleed more quickly than we used to. So they're just some of the common signs and symptoms. Maybe some breast tenderness is there, maybe that more, as I said, like irritability, and often a heavier period. So that flooding might start to kick in. It's usually that first change of declining progesterone. We love our progesterone. She's our lovely, happy, calming hormone, but she's really only required to implant an egg, so keep us fertile. So she is the first to leave the building. She doesn't have to be. I highly, highly recommend either taking a natural supplement to keep her elevated, such as Vitex, and B6 and Withania. So there's like usually a combination of things. If your body is in good state and reacts well to progesterone, that's a different story. And why I always talk tailored health is because some women don't metabolize hormones the same way. And for some women, the perimenopausal, the progesterone, which should be lovely and calming, can actually make you feel really anxious and make you put on weight. So knowing your body and how those pathways are functioning is imperative if you want to go down the path of hormone replacement therapy or even natural therapies. I always encourage that with all my girls, to do the right testing beforehand. Now, estrogen's the next one to go, but she doesn't leave calmly. She's really erratic. She's going down with a fight. So some days she's up, some days she's down, sometimes she's up and down all in the same day. It's usually, if most cases, probably age 45 plus. So not always, as I said, but generally we start to see that decline, that erratic, and those more mood changes, more erratic bleeding, maybe longer cycles, shorter cycles. weight gain, especially underneath that bra mark, you know, that roll of weight, that roll of fat that a lot of women start to talk about, even around the belly button or even under the belly button, that inability to tone muscles, feeling like your bum hits thighs, your boobs are all getting bigger. These are really common symptoms around this erratic estrogen time. And then to top it off, we've got our beautiful testosterone, which often gets dismissed and unheard of. We have it in abundance in women, believe me. She starts to decline too. And she's a slower journey. So what tends to happen, she's governing like our libido, our energy, our brain fog, so our memory. She's really important, our muscle strength, our ability to build muscles. And what's happening as she's exiting more slowly is that we often see a gap between the estrogen, progesterone, and the testosterone, which is now sitting too high, causing more issues around irritability, weight gain. So maybe insulin resistance is kicking in from being too high testosterone. So it's a bit of a cluster of problems from all three hormones exiting around the same time. So I don't show you this to scare you. This is just fact. This is what's going to happen, but it doesn't have to happen. So hormone replacement therapy is brilliant for keeping all three hormones. And I always recommend being on all three hormones, not necessarily at the same time, maybe starting with progesterone, then upgrading to both estrogen, progesterone, and then potentially at the same time, if not a bit later, some testosterone as well. And making sure you're working with probably an integrative women's health practitioner like a GP, which I do have some brilliant contacts. Or we can go down the natural path, which a lot of girls still choose to do. And I myself still choose to do that, where we're focusing on natural alternatives such as wild yam, soy, we've got black cohosh, we've got Vitex, we've got your B vitamins, tribulus. All these things can help. If you have a notebook, I hope you wrote that down. Otherwise, you can rewatch this. And they can all help to increase those hormones. Again, I can't stress enough, make sure you've got someone supporting you. Don't just wing it, because things like testosterone, once you go too high, you can't really come back from. So it does need to be managed, okay? So that's a really easy snapshot of what's going on in your body from this time of our life. I see girls from probably around like 37, 38, some that have even just had babies going straight into perimenopause. It's a really confusing time because it's often coinciding with postnatal conditions too. So, you know, maybe your thyroid's out, gut issues, all of these things can come out at the same time. So it can be really confusing, as well as obviously mental health too. So a really good time to get on top of everything, get some baseline testing and find out what's going on with you, no matter what age you are. Okay, so signs and symptoms. So this is not extensive. There are many. Weight gain or stagnant weight loss. I always put that first because it's probably the main reason why women come to see me. I hear that they're not doing anything different. They're eating the same, if not maybe less. That's a really common thing that happens. And exercising, if not even more, another common thing that happens. And they're putting on weight, or they're having stagnant weight loss. And it's just the scale will not shift. Really, really common during this time with these hormone fluctuations, as well as I said, if anything's being pushed like insulin resistance or thyroid issues slowing the metabolism. Changes to your period cycle, shorter, longer, heavier, lighter, shorter, even bleeding. Mood swings, anxiety, teariness, depression, panic attacks, really, really common, especially if you've had a history of this. If I see any of my girls who've got had postnatal depression or have issues with anxiety, depression, this can worsen during this time. It's not a nice statistic, and I don't use it to scare you. I just want you to realize that it's more common than we realize. But suicide is 7 times more likely in a menopausal woman, which is very horrendous because of these hormonal changes. So if you're recognizing in yourself or a loved one any changes going on with their mental health, please, please, please encourage them to have their hormones checked. One of my clients recently came to me with severe stress and anxiety and depression issues. No one had checked her hormones. No one had checked any of her bloods. And they put her straight on an antidepressant, which I'm not condoning. They can be excellent circuit breakers, but she wasn't coping very well. We ran all the tests, ran it through functional diagnostics, which just means that my ranges are different. I'm looking for optimal health. So it picks up things more easily, more quickly. And her whole hormone system had collapsed because she'd been under so much stress, not necessarily because she was in perimenopause or menopause, but because of the stress that she'd endured, having PTSD had triggered a menopausal response, and all her hormones had crashed, which is why it led to this sudden depressive state. So we are now rebuilding her, because that's what's going to be that really saves her mental health, by having her estrogen, progesterone, testosterone levels back to normal. And it's very gentle work, but without recognizing this, she would have gone into the system. She would have stayed on medications, more medications, because this current medication was making her feel sick every day, making her vomit. So the other medications were to suppress all that. You can see how there's a cluster of things that start to happen if we don't address the drivers of what is going on. And these are signs and symptoms that your body is in dysfunction. So don't ignore it. And please don't let any of your friends, sisters, aunties, whatever it is, ignore these symptoms. There's so much help out there. Gut discomfort. I see a lot more gut issues at this time. IBS, food intolerances, so foods that you never had an issue with before are suddenly causing problems. Increased cholesterol, that's often what's flagged by the doctor, and then they want to put you on statins or meds and make you feel like, oh God, you're at risk of heart attacks. This isn't true. We're actually realizing that increased cholesterol is actually a sign of menopause or perimenopause, because your body makes its estrogen in the cholesterol. So it's using its last efforts to make more estrogen while your body's going through menopause. So if the cholesterol's rising as it's trying to get the last of the estrogen out. So it's actually a sign that your body's going through this. And we look at cholesterol now as protective. Okay. So obviously we need to have the right balance, but it's always indicating something, but often it could just be the perimenopause, and menopause is not far off. Sleep issues, difficulty falling, staying asleep, aging skin, breakouts, rosacea. With the breakouts, we're seeing, that estrogen when it becomes dominant. So say the progesterone started to drop, we can see more, usually bigger pimples around the chin. If you're more in that testosterone dominance, and this doesn't necessarily mean just menopause or perimenopause, it could be polycystic ovaries, then having like your jaw, your chin, your neck, chest, any of these areas breaking out can be a sign of testosterone dominance as well. Low energy, fatigue, inflammation, achy joints, shoulder pain, burning mouth, vaginal dryness, low libido, hot flushes, night sweats, and just not feeling like yourself. With my perimenopause girls, I would suggest that just not feeling like myself is a really common term I hear. They're not necessarily having hot flushes. They're not necessarily noticing vaginal dryness. Maybe the libido's low. Often that's stress related as well, could be gut related. But yeah, that not feeling myself, maybe some weight gain, changes to the period cycle, changes to the mood, probably my top symptoms that would be first to indicate that perimenopausal stage. Drivers of these as well. So whilst we're sort of conditioned to go, oh, I'm in perimenopause or I'm in menopause, and that's like a blanket term, right, used to describe what stage of life we're in, it's not actually picking up on what the drivers are behind why you're going through these perimenopausal symptoms. So I'm not going to go through all these. I just really wanted to show you that as a nutritionist, when I work with my girls, my clients, these are all the things I'm looking for to make sure they're not driving your hormonal imbalances. So we're looking for insulin resistance. I'm looking for adrenals and cortisol issues. I'm looking for histamine overload, which is very, very common in this time. We can get it from food. We can get it from gut bacteria. We can get it from external factors. And I'm seeing it. I would say the low histamine diet is what gets my clients the most results at this age of our lives, because it's, I won't go into big details for it, but it's reducing that histamine load, which allows the body to detoxify the hormones properly again. There's a lot more to it than that, but if you find that a general diet that, maybe you're reducing carbohydrates, maybe you've cut out gluten, maybe you've cut out dairy, maybe you're eating beautifully, and it's still not relieving, say, some bloating or discomfort or anything like that, or we might need to investigate your histamine levels and whether you need to go on a histamine, low histamine diet while supporting the gut health. Really, really common, but the results are incredible. Thyroid, always, any deficiencies, any nutrient deficiencies, iron, B12, any MTHFR, gene mutations, obviously your hormone dominances and deficiencies are coming into play. It's just so much that I look into, and I know it probably looks at that and you're going, God, how do you do that? There's so many questions I ask and so many test results that can really back up what I'm thinking when I'm analyzing someone's health. So having been in the industry for 15 years, there's such key questions and answers that you're giving me that really can indicate to me what the actual drivers are, even if you are in perimenopause and menopause and suffering that. So going and fixing those drivers is imperative. But I want you to notice it's really difficult to guess what's going on in your own body. And you do need expert guidance, because this has got to be bespoke and it's got to be about you and your health goals, your health journey, and what your body is going through. Excuse me 1 minute. And that's why I'm all about tailored health. I don't think you'll ever see a big group program go watch a million videos on my website. I just would never do that to my girls, because it's so generic and it doesn't target your specific needs. So this is my beautiful girl, Stacey. I use her as an example because she was always really lean. I think that's a big thing. A lot of people think when you go to a nutritionist, that I'm seeing clients that are probably gorging on McDonald's or KFC every day. This is very rare. I usually see girls that are fit and healthy, but their bodies are changing and it's out of their control. Everything they were doing before is no longer working. Stacey wanted to come off the pill. She was on the pill for 20 years. She didn't want it she didn't want to have children. So that's why she stayed on it for so long. But she'd always had these really chronic gut concerns. And she came to me. She was lean. As you can see, she was lean. She had noticed she'd put on weight. She was always bloated. She was really anxious. She wasn't sleeping. 4 months of us working together, and she was a completely different woman. So all her rosacea cleared up. She'd had really chronic skin conditions, that flushing, that redness. All her bloating had subsided. We'd gone in. I'd found parasites. I found bacterial overgrowth. She had no gut lining. She was coming off the pill. Now, any of my girls, if you're on the pill and you're looking to come off it, please don't go cold turkey. There is a way we need to do this properly so your body doesn't fall in a heap, because it's undergone a lot with being taken, synthetic hormones for probably a long period of time, and it really does change our bodies and our mechanisms. So we've got to take a really gentle approach, which is what I did with Stacey. She's now, I think she's about 9 months post. We're still working out a hormone balance. She was brilliant for a while, but of course, after you've been on the pill, things change again, and they keep changing for up to 18 months coming off the pill. So it's something to be very conscious of. She's very aware when her symptoms pop up, we jump on it and we recognize if the testosterone's now dominating the progesterone, estrogen, and we tailor and tweak things as we go. So, health's a long-term journey, but I never let my girls just go after I've ever worked with them. It's like, if other things are going to come up, other things are going to come up for me as I go along. And I'm going to have to always, make some course corrections as we go, as these changes happen, as well as doing preventative health. So Stacey was amazing. She ended up actually leaving her job and joining the health industry because she's completely converted. And we're now working together. So if you ever need a brilliant life coach, that's Stacey. So what stage are you at? This is what I see. Okay, so I get the girls that are comfortable. I do see them. They're eating well. They're exercising. Maybe they've had babies. Maybe they're just in that first stage, but life's pretty good. They might want to lose a few kilos, get a few things under control, maybe a little bit of bloating, maybe some hormone stability. I usually would recommend these girls do my 6-week hormone rebalance program, which is more self-driven with some weekly touch-ins with me. It uses a particular supplement that is a multi-system support. If there's nothing that is chronically out of balance, like some gut repair, then I would use this amazing supplement that my favorite integrative doctor makes, and she's available for consultations if anyone needs her. So we work together on a lot of these things. They tend to get amazing results. 6 weeks, 5+ kilos come off, reset the hormones, moods are improved, sleep's improved. They're my easy girls, they're pretty comfortable, and then they feel good really quickly. Then I see my confused girls, and these are generally my earlier peri girls. So maybe early 40s, maybe mid 40s. They're confused. Their bodies aren't responding like they used to. They might get more food intolerances than they used to have. Foods that they used to be able to tolerate and not are now causing bloating. That's really common. It's not because they're true intolerances. It's usually because there's a gut problem going on with that beautiful gut lining, stocking, something's gone wrong there. We often see that by this age. You know, we've undergone a lot of stresses. We may have had children. We've now had COVID vaccinations and COVID sicknesses. We've had other vaccinations. We've traveled. So it's really inevitable, antibiotics, medications, that this beautiful gut lining becomes a bit more like a stretched stocking. So organisms and things can come in and out. And that can be a really big driver for escalated signs and symptoms that are starting to develop, and why weight loss doesn't happen easily anymore, despite going to the gym and eating really well. So I do see a lot of these girls as well. This is where I generally put them on a program working with me. So I'm catching up generally fortnightly, making meal adjustments, everything's bespoke to them, putting them on a gut repair that's tailored to their needs, doing functional testing. So we're doing a bit more of a deep dive at this time to find out what's actually going on, instead of just try this meal plan and see you later. It's just not how I work. We want to find the drivers. We want to correct anything before it becomes anything bigger. So this is a really good preventative health stage as well. My frustrated girls, so these are the girls closer to that menopause or postmenopausal. So nothing they're doing is working. It's really hard to see, actually, because there's women that function beautifully and have probably always looked after themselves, were able to have a good life balance, have some drinks, enjoy, balanced food, all of this, and none of it works anymore. And like, just looking at food means weight gain. They're all over the place. They've got the hot flushes, all the symptoms, the mood changes. They're my really frustrated girls. I hear that a lot. I don't recognize myself. I don't want to look in the mirror. These are the girls I tend to work with a little bit longer, around 6 months, which is my signature Renew You protocol. And that tends to be a bit more high touch. And we also do even more functional testing as required. So bloods, stool test for gut, and your urine test for your hormone health as well. So these are the girls as well. All of these girls, when I do work with them, obviously help them feel relieved, because I can actually bring their body back into alignment. We get the weight off, even if it's slow and steady. Even if you want to be on GLP-1s, obviously Ozempic, Mounjaro, they're not going anywhere. And we have to learn to adapt and work with them. It doesn't mean that I think they're necessarily right for everyone, but my goal is to get you amazing results. So if the GLP-1 is something that you're on or you've been on, I see actually a lot of girls who are on it and it's done nothing for them. And I tend to come in and pick up the pieces. One of my girls was on it for a year, got no results. And then when we started working together, she's lost now 34 kilos while staying on it, but with my support. So making sure her diet's right for her, because there's underlying issues, right? It doesn't just miraculously end up in weight loss for every person. So I do work with a lot of GLP-1s. I do work with girls who want to maybe start GLP-1s, making sure your body's in alignment. There's no thyroid issues, gut issues, anything that might inhibit your results. Get on it, get off it. Often I'd find in that time that we've worked together, though, they've probably lost 12 kilos and maybe they don't need it anymore anyway. So I've just saved you a lot of money and time just by doing that, and actually addressing the drivers of why you might need something like GLP-1s in the first place. So they're relieved. I'm relieved. I always love helping my girls, and I take on few clients, only a couple a week, because I'm dedicated to giving you all the attention and all my skills and all my knowledge. And if I get too thinly spread, then that doesn't work for everyone. So I tend to work with a select group of girls and give you my all, essentially, so you get the best results. And then you feel empowered because you've got control again. You feel like yourself again. Everything coming back into alignment. Yes, things will pop up, but guess what? You're going to be able to recognize it and control it better before it becomes a big issue. And I'm always, a WhatsApp message away. So my support for my girls is ongoing. The key ingredients that I use in my clinic to get the best transformation, because as I said, I'm holistic. So we want to take a whole body approach here. Quality sleep. So many people, so many girls say the first thing is, I don't sleep. Sleep is imperative for every function, for your stress relief, for how, governs how you eat the next day, your blood glucose stabilization. So whether your blood glucose is doing this all day, causing cravings, making you eat badly because you're so tired. It releases growth hormone during your sleep. So that actually helps with fat burning. So it's really important to get that quality sleep. So that's always a number one goal for me. The easy shifts. So when I say easy shifts, what I'm talking here is usually diet. So every girl's different. As I mentioned before, the low histamine has worked on a lot of my girls that are very symptomatic for histamine overload or mast cell activation. I'm not going to go into depth of these things, but easy shifts in your diet, making it easy so you can go to work, you can function, you don't have to be baking all day. I'm not a great cook. It's taken me 40 years to admit that. I'm not a great cook. I don't love it. I love serving foods to my family. I don't want to spend hours in the kitchen, and I don't have time. Unlike my grandmother, who was the most brilliant cook on earth. So I'm I'm admitting I'm not. So I like to create meal plans that are easy for my girls, easy for you to integrate into your lives so that you're making something for the kids and you can have a version of that that's just adapted to your needs. And often the meal plans or anything that you might be restrictive, it's not forever or it's never forever. It's just until we heal what needs healing. So these easy shifts make a huge difference to how your body's responding. Hormone balance, imperative, but I'm not just talking reproductive hormones. When you go to, say, a women's health hormone doctor, they tend to just look at your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. I'm looking at thyroid, insulin, GLP-1s, sleep, like all of these things to make sure that they're in alignment. When I say sleep, I mean, sorry, like cortisol, so that there's nothing that can cause an issue externally. So all of these potential drivers for dysfunction are being looked after, and that's imperative. Energetic drive, so making sure you've got the energy in the day to want to do things like exercise. With all my girls, I'm now including in their plans a little rebounder trampoline. I'm just sending it to you because A, they're bloody fun. I want you to get your body moving. I want lymphatic drainage. And I want you to enjoy doing it. Sending you off for 10,000 steps a day is not realistic for most people. It's not realistic for me. So I'm very aware that as busy women, most of us juggling kids, some of us still young kids, my kids are only 6 and 9, we need something that's available for those moments where you're waiting for the kettle to boil and you're brewing a tea. You can jump on that trampoline for 5 minutes. I get like a couple of kilometers on a day just running. It's great fun. You can put it in front of the TV, you can put it outside and actually enjoy the sunshine. Honestly, I'm including it with everyone. You can add weights to yourself, improve that muscle tone, and just gently, gently improve your energy, your cardio, build that muscle tone, because the on-flow effect from those endorphins as well for mental health is fantastic and obviously results in weight loss. So I now include that in all my programs. And a tailored solution. As I said, Betty's not the same as Kate. I had 2 girls join the program in the same day, and I did both their consults on the same day, their initials. And what happened was they came to me exactly the same age. So they were both 52. They were both suffering every symptom that you could imagine with menopause. So they're having hot flushes, the low libido, the weight gain was really large, and the lack of motivation, all the symptoms you'd expect. And they both wanted to lose 10 kilos. So it was same. But when we uncovered everything and I did my extensive reviews and my diagnostics and checked everything, one of them had a thyroid problem and the other one had an insulin resistance problem. So the way we got to that 10-kilo weight loss in that same amount of time, both of them were 12 weeks, was so different. But if I hadn't picked up on these things, neither of them would have got the results, and both of them would still be suffering from insulin resistance and thyroid. So if I'd just done the same program, a cookie cutter program, we just wouldn't have got there. So even though, yes, I call it the Renew You protocol, it's just a blanket term. It's about you and renewing you, your body. This was Stacey. she really changed everything. So she believes this is how we should be treated by our medical professions, which is so lovely, and how the world heals. And I couldn't believe, like, she's such a beautiful person, but the way she has transformed, even the way she sees treatment, is unbelievable. She reaches out to me now for anything, absolutely everything. If she's sick, I'm putting her on vitamin A and rhinostat spray to help clear up the sinuses. You know, we're avoiding antibiotics. One of my girls who's got chronic sinusitis, we've been working together now for nearly 12 weeks. She hasn't had a sinus infection since. She came off antibiotics during one of the infections and transferred over to some supplements that I put her on. She lost 13 centimeters in 2 weeks of me fixing her diet up and reducing the histamine load. It was all driving these issues. So there's such a big component. Nutrition's, like, I can't stress enough, the biggest component for longevity and optimal health. And I love to use doctors for acute things, do not get me wrong, but I think that if we can heal things from a holistic point of view in that whole body and find the drivers and work on that dysfunction, you're going to have such a different experience at this stage of your life. And this is how I can help you do it. So my extensive program is where I review everything. Like I just said, I go into very extensive analysis with all my girls. I do bloods, I do stool testing, I can do genetic testing. I don't always include that in my program, but that's optional. And I do urine testing, which gives you the best results for your hormone pathway. So not just your hormone balance, but your hormone preferred pathways. That's going to tell me a lot about how your body's functioning. I evaluate these. I use functional diagnostic tools and spreadsheets, and I spend a lot of time working out exactly what's going on and the best course of action for you. Because, as I said before, like, if I jump onto your hormones and I haven't targeted the thyroid or gut issues going on, you're not going to get the best results. It needs to be a very well managed journey, which is why I hold my girls' hands and I catch up with them so frequently so I can navigate this time together. I enhance the plan as we go. Every week things are changing. Every fortnight things are changing, depending how regularly we're catching up. Meal plans, supplements, everything is changing. And then I win. So I get my clients the best results. One of my girls at the end of last year who finished working with me each week. So I'm not big on the scales. I don't really care for the scales. I do care about measurements. We tend to sit heavier on the scales at this time of our lives, and I don't like the way it messes with our head. But she wanted to weigh herself, so that was fine. We could see that the measurements were slowly going down, but the scales were each week 200 grams down, 600 grams up, 800 grams down. It was like this every week. And, you know, I feel responsible for this too. Of course, because this is me trying to get you your best results, which I do guarantee with all my clients as well, because otherwise I'll keep working with you until we do. So by the end of the program, I got an email during the consult with Tina, and she said, I just wanted to let you know, I've actually gone back and calculated all these tiny little changes over the weeks, and I was down 12.5 kilos in that time. So this is a woman who hadn't shifted a single kilo in probably 5 years. And after 3 months was down 12.5 because I micromanaged her. That's really what happened. I was able to navigate and enhance her plan, make the changes. She did as I told. All I told her to do, all she had to do was eat the foods I told her to do, get on a trampoline, which I sent her, and take any supplements I wanted to take. So that was really it. Otherwise, I did everything else. I was in control of it all. So the benefits you're going to have, so beautiful Alicia, she dropped 13 centimeters. She slept through the night. She lost all her bloating. That was only in a couple of weeks, actually. And I get you vitality, your confidence, and your empowerment back. So this is how I do this, because of these holistic renewed treatment protocols. Maya lost 32 kilos. We reversed her perimenopause symptoms. She went into perimenopause quite early, low moods, heavy periods, and she reversed all of that. And she still calls herself perimenopause symptom free. So she is not uncommon with the girls I work with. I would say that all of them get results as good as this. Measurement chart, this was Anna. So her starting measurements around her waist were 94 centimeters. So to me, that's indicative of insulin resistance. So her body's not able to break down carbs, sugars. After just 6 weeks, she'd lost 14 centimeters. As you can see there, she's down to 80 centimeters, which takes her out of that insulin resistance size as well. So the lessons to renewal, so these are everything I do with every single one of my clients was optimizing sleep, whether we're using supplements, good magnesium, L-theanine, phospholipids, whatever it is. I don't care if it's considered knocking you out. I'm going to get you sleeping because it's when you sleep that you heal, okay? And getting your body circadian rhythm back into alignment is imperative. And we're going to use the right supplements for your needs. I'm going to tweak your sleep hygiene. We're going to look at cover all bases. Your self-care and your skincare. I work with the best of the best. I love Redox. I work with them. It's a clinical only skincare range. My skin has actually never been better since using them. Weight loss and inflammation. So the way I look at weight loss is reducing inflammation. When we find the driver, when we reduce that inflammation, then your body's going to give up the weight. I don't like my girls to focus on the scales or the measurements and wonder why it's not working for them. It's because we're waiting for the inflammation to ease, whether that's gut support, thyroid, hormone balance, whatever it is, and then the weight drops off. I had one of my girls who had an unknown parasite, and she had extensive gut issues and perimenopausal symptoms, and she came to me. I got her gut tested. I found the parasites. After, a month, she dropped 9 kilos, having not been able to lose a centimetre again for years, 9 kilos in a month, because we treated and killed this parasite, which was causing so much damage and inflammation in her gut. So that's why I like to include all these testing in there, because we're going to rule out anything that could be causing a problem. Optimizing your libido, including your energy, gut health, hormones, hormone balancing, stress, and adrenals. All of these things are imperative. I'm a big focuser on self-care and skincare. I love having lovely skin. I know this is a time for rapid aging as well, which can be really disheartening for a lot of girls. We lose the collagen in our skin. I know that some doctors are recommending the estrogen creams, the hormone replacement therapy creams, to use on your face because it's rebuilding that collagen. So that's definitely an option. But obviously topically is important, but what we're doing internally is going to have amazing results for your skin as well. So I'm always looking inside and out. So my proven treatment components, and this is what I do with my girls. It doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter how long the program, this is what we're going to do. I do 12 to 24 weeks, so a couple of options there. Gold standard functional testing, therapeutic grade nutritional supplements, redox skin products, so you actually have a tailored skincare program, optimizing sleep, metabolic boosting lifestyle advice, so whether that's taking MCT oils, I actually provide these to all my girls. Getting your body to be fat burning while you sleep. These are all little tips and tricks. Using cinnamon, putting cinnamon in all your water, like these little things that just really rev up the metabolism so you get optimal results. Functional testing analysis, which is my specialty. I love doing this. It just brings all the pieces of the puzzle together so we have the biggest blueprint of what's actually going on in your body. Skin assessments, like I said, access to me 24/7 or access to our platform 24/7 if you need to ask questions. Supporting equipment, so that's where I get my trampoline to my girls. If you're in Australia, I'm sorry, if you're international, that we can find you an alternative. Personalized meal plans always, and then online or in my clinic, Pilates and metabolic boosting HIIT exercises. So it's every element is covered. There's literally nothing you want for nothing during that program. You just have to do as I say. Therapeutic grade supplements, they're always going to amplify your results. You're going to correct nutrient deficiencies. This is how I heal and seal the gut. This is how I kill off any hitchhikers, any bacterial overgrowth parasites, boost your metabolism, and they're delivered to your door as you need them. 6 weeks of BioLi supplementation. So my favorite supplement that I work with the Dr. Agnes on, potent multi-system, gets amazing, amazing results from my clients. So at some stage, whether it be the hormone rebalance and weight loss program, whether it be my Renew You protocol, at some stage you'll be on this supplement. And because it's just brilliant, and it's the equivalent of taking 60 tablets a day in this one dose. So it's pretty fantastic, working on literally every system, including skin support. And state-of-the-art functional testing, like I've mentioned, stool, bloods, urine. I analyze them and we create the blueprint to navigate your health. So this is one of my girls, Sarah, who had been dismissed by doctor after doctor after doctor for these chronic gut issues. She came to see me. And after doing the testing, I found 2 parasites, and also her entire hormone system had actually collapsed as well. So she didn't have any progesterone. Estrogen was very dominant in her testosterone while she was struggling with her weight. So much going on. All the doctors had dismissed her. We worked together. She rectified all these issues and has gone on to get regular periods again, not have any perimenopausal symptoms, and her gut issues have all but subsided. So she's been fantastic. And as I said, these results are pretty common in my clinic. Kylie's story. I just finished working with Kylie, and she's just been my absolute beautiful girl. So she was a classic perimenopause, very controlling of her health, very self-aware, very controlling of her diet, her exercise regime, but things weren't working. She noted she was super anxious and irritable. Her kids were noticing. She was getting really bloated all the time, and she just kept removing foods. So she was really under-eating and malnourished, really, when you cut out lots of food groups. Shorter cycles. She was on hormone replacement therapy, but a really high dose, so probably too high. She was only 46. Insomnia, and she was noticing her weight was going up as well. So we started working together. She didn't change her exercise regime. As I said, she had very controlled diet. So she was, if anything, she was going to the gym more and more and more. And she kept saying to me, like, how many weights do you do? Because I'm quite muscular. And I was like, I don't do any weights. I just do Pilates and I walk. And she was micromanaging her diet, but the symptoms were worsening. So she actually stopped her massive gym sessions and started coming to Pilates just to calm her nervous system as well. This was before her. This was her bloating. This is how she woke up in the morning. And she's lean. I talked about that a lot. I'm not saying I don't deal with obesity. I do see a lot of obesity and a lot of weight issues. But, you know, as much as I'm seeing that, I'm also seeing girls that are used to being a certain way, used to being quite lean, and the body's not responding like it used to. And that was after. That's not her sucking in. That's not her flexing. I'll show you the photos when she is. She's incredible. So this was 3 months working together. We supported her stress. I got her sleeping through the night. I actually needed to work on her hormone clearance, because the problem with the HRT being the wrong dose was that her body wasn't clearing it. It was accumulating in the system. So it was actually contributing to the menopausal symptoms. We did intensive gut repair. She had no gut microflora. She didn't have any organisms, but she had nothing protecting her. So I needed to rebuild that. We basically did a master reset, as she calls it. Low histamine diet, I know I've mentioned that a few times, but the bloating relieved pretty much instantly. Improved her sleep. She lost 5 kilos. I know you look at her and go, she didn't need to. That was just probably inflammation, water weight as well. She wasn't actually putting on fat, but she was feeling heavy. She was feeling puffy, and it all came off, and we literally eliminated her perimenopause symptoms. I'm not saying they're going to be gone forever, because the hormones are going to change, but we're going to manage it now. And the fact that we've gone to the drivers of what was going on and corrected them is the main point here. So that going forward, she's got prevention, she's healed the issues, and she's going to be able to pick up on things when they're going wrong. She reclaimed herself. I still see her. She's still coming to Pilates. She's gone back to the gym. She's actually been kinder to herself, which is always nice, because I do tend to see more girls that we're not very nice to ourselves at this time of our lives. We tend to be frustrated and angry. So just being a little bit more sympathetic to what's going on. She said some lovely things about me. So I love Kylie. She's been an absolute gem. So little Q&A. I know there's not a lot of us here today, but if you do have any questions, put them in the chat. Or otherwise, you feel free to email me if you have any concerns. Next steps, if you want to work with me, if you're having any issues at all, I'm just putting this link in the chat. This is just an application essentially to be able to work with me. So I work on many levels. I do conduct initial consultation. So that's a 75-minute chat where we can go through any blood tests and see where you're at and create the best path. If you decide to continue working with me from there, then that consultation amount is credited towards any of your programs. I offer the hormone rebalance and weight loss program, which is more self-driven with weekly touch-in points with me. It also includes the bio or lye supplementation. It can be a really good kickstart if you choose to do that program. That is then, and want to upgrade to find out any functional testing done or do the full-blown Renew You protocol, then that is also credited towards that. So there's steps that you can go through depending where you're at in your journey, depending how much work you want, you need, how much support you need. I offered my Renew You protocol both at a 3-month and a 12-month, 6-month offer as well. And then there's always ongoing access, small community sessions that I run as well. So when you've completed that program, you can enter that. So you always have access to health. So please, if you want to fill in that application, and then I can reach out to you and we can see how we can work together. And otherwise, thank you so much for joining me today. Look at that. I've done nearly 60 minutes worth of talking, so I really appreciate you staying and listening to me. I hope you gathered some good information about this. Please know you're not alone. I specialize in this area for a reason. I love what I do. I love helping my girls. There's no problem too big. I see so much more dysfunction these days. It's no longer just a quick, I want to lose a couple of kilos. I feel like a lot of us are so out of alignment, and it's not our fault. There's a lot that's gone on in the world. There's a lot that we've taken on. Our bodies have changed as a response to a lot of these things. So we do need to take more care of ourselves. And I genuinely believe that by getting to the drivers and finding the areas of dysfunction and correcting them will make this perimenopause and menopausal journey so much easier to navigate and hopefully a seamless transition for you. So thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to helping you